Uh, for the past couple of years, I kind of anticipated doing something really artistic and meaningful with my senior project. For a long time, I was planning on writing and illustrating a graphic novel, but I realized I either wouldn't be able to complete it in the amount of time that I had, or it would turn into something I wasn't proud of. So, for a few months, I searched for something else I could do, but and sewing kind of crept up on me. It was something I was mildly interested in, but it turned into a little bit more of a passion. Um, and as the school year kind of drew nearer, I was dreading going back to school and having to drop this hobby in favor of my senior project. So I made it my senior project. My goals were as follows. Mostly, I just wanted to sew some things because it was just something that I was interested in. Um, and I figured if by the end I never wanted to sew anything ever again in my entire life, it wouldn't be that much of a loss. And also I kind of get better at sewing is a polite way of saying I wanted to learn how to sew. Um, because even though the things that I made, they were charming in their own right, but there was technique to master, I think. Um, and as you can see here, my process is not a process. It's just, flailing until I make something. So I wanted to get better at that. And I also was curious to see if it would turn into a career or it could be some sort of option for me in the future. Um, so it kind of all started sophomore year when I got this blanket from Goodwill and I decided to make something out of it. And so I made this hoodie. It is bad, but I enjoyed doing it and I think it's cozy. Uh, just like the edges are kind of unhemmed and the hood is like enormous, but yeah, it was really comfortable. And it got me really interested again after not sewing for years and years. Got me more interested in sewing. Um, and then this was in the summer. I was kind of just sewing with sheets that I got from Goodwill, and I made this skirt. And even though it didn't turn out quite the way I wanted it in terms of like uh, the shape of it and the way it flowed, it did teach me a lot. I taught myself how to sew buttonholes, and all in all, it was like the most finished thing I had made. And during this time, it was really just a lot of experimenting with uh, not only just techniques, but also methods of acquiring secondhand materials. So for these pants and that skirt that you just saw, um, I made those all out of sheets from Goodwill. Um, and this coat that I made, which I think, yes, I have sketches of it. I made it out of material from an online secondhand fabric store. Uh, I realized that this would probably bankrupt me if I kept buying things on my own. Um, so I talked to Erica, and she brought it up with the school, and I was able to use the library as a little bit of a studio space for me to work. And in the library, there's tons and tons of like donated fabric that I was able to use. And overall, it was the most exciting part of this project because it was like a kid in a candy store, just being able to go in there and search through fabrics and see what really inspired me. And so I made a few things. I was just kind of following what I was interested in. Some things turned out greater than others. I really liked that shark sweater that I made. And I'm really not sure what that other thing is, but it existed for a period of time. Anyways, I kind of, for a while, I lost track of sewing, because I had been basically up until this point, like sewing and sewing and sewing like a madman, because I just enjoyed it a lot, but it kind of led to a lot of burnout. And I was kind of losing interest, and I was also working on my service aspect, which we'll get to. But I was spending so much of my creative energy like on my senior project that I had kind of lost track of the things that I really like to do, like sewing, or not sewing, like drawing. And I kind of started really missing doing other things. So I kind of put off going back into the studio and sewing for a long time, but I did have this idea in my head for a dress. And I've had this idea since before, like in the beginning, basically. I had this idea to make this really big dress, and it was going to be really great. But to be honest, I was a little bit like, not afraid, but just sort of like, it was daunting to me because it's the biggest project that I would ever have to face up until now. And I wasn't really sure what to use for fabric. I definitely wanted a lot of like sheer fabric and a lot of layers and lace. And that just wasn't anything that I thought was available to me. But one day, after like not going into the studio for a long time, I just went in there and I was like, I might not sew today, but I'm just gonna look through fabric and see if anything inspires me. And I found the perfect fabric, and I was in the library sewing for probably like 7 hours, just sewing on this dress. And after a few days, this is what it looked like. And I'm really proud of it because not only is it the biggest project that I've ever done, but it also just, I don't know, everything just kind of worked out. My process, I think, earlier on, I would say is like, I would describe it as making a lot of bad decisions, and then kind of just having something wearable at the end. But I think I made a lot of good decisions here, and I'm proud of it. And I think not only does it look nice, in my opinion, something that I think it executes pretty well is like the feeling that you get when you wear it. Sort of like a fairy princess or something. Yeah. And I kind of, it had a lot of buildup, before it, but I kind of think of it as like my, I don't know if I want to say magnum opus, but like,
You said it.
it was a great, yeah, whatever. I'll just leave it at that. It's nice. Anyways, shifting gears a little bit to talk about my service. While I was kind of buying all the fabric myself, I kind of realized there wasn't a lot of like affordable thrifting in the area, or affordable secondhand, like really at all. And in considering what I wanted to do for a service, I took that into account. And what I really wanted to do was have a pop-up thrift shop that was like really cheap. In the beginning, it was like $1 thrift thing, but I am switching gears to more of like a pay what you can, or pay what you will. But anyway, so I had this idea for this pop-up. It was going to happen twice, once at the end of February and once at the end of January and once at the end of February. I did my first pop-up. It didn't go great. Only a couple people showed up. It was it felt like a failure, but it was just like, it's a pandemic and people aren't like going to pop-ups, and that's fine. So instead of kind of holding on to this idea and like, kind of walking into a trap, basically, I decided to kind of switch gears. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an online thrift shop where you can pay what you can or pay what you will. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a website, and it'll link to eBay, which the reason I want to use eBay is because you can make an offer and make that offer whatever. Yeah, it just so happens that it hasn't really come like quite to fruition yet, but it's happening. I have had donations specifically from great Shayna Meshbesher, and I'm currently accepting donations as well. So yeah, I will keep everybody updated, and all the profits are going to this amazing organization called Fashion Revolution, and they are mostly just like working to end like human suffering within the fashion industry. So it's all going to a great cause, and would really appreciate people to show up for it. And I'm also still accepting donations. Yeah. What's next for me? In the beginning, I mentioned that I might want to do this as a career, and at the end of this, I don't think I do. I kind of just liked doing it for myself and for my friends. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it. But what it has taught me more than anything is that whatever I do creatively, I just want people to see it and enjoy it, whatever it is, because that's just kind of what makes me happy. So yeah, even if I'm not going to sew ever again, I think it has taught me a valuable lesson. Thank yous. I want to thank Erica for being the most supportive and amazing advisor and mentor for this project. Thank you to Charlie for being my model and muse. Thank you to Shayna Meshbesher for donating. My father, he wants me to thank him for looking really cool. Yeah. And thank you to Allison. I probably talked at you about this project like so many times, and I appreciate it. And Joan, I can't remember why you're up there, but thank you for being a great friend and very supportive. And Sean isn't up there, but I also want to thank you for being a great teacher and advisor. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you gotta stay up there. All right, let's hear some questions from the audience. Let's hear some questions. Somebody's got a question.
I'll go with Hal first. They're here actually in the library.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have them. I mean, I'm not gonna wear them. Yes.
So you said that you kind of decided that this is not a career for you, but I know that you really love to draw fabric.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of like one of your favorite things to draw, I've heard you say.
Uh-huh.
And so I just wonder, and like from your sketches, I just wonder if you've thought anything about, like, you obviously have a talent for like fashion design and fashion. I just wonder if like that's something like going, have you ever thought about doing fashion sketches?
Yeah, I think the thing that I ran into in drawing the pieces is I'm not very good at technical drawing. So I could definitely draw like, you know, just art of it and like concepts. But I don't know if I could like design, you know.
Yes, you could.
So,
Sebastian.
like, are you doing any kind of commissions or anything?
I've considered it. I think the thing that yeah,
Hello.
I know Sean really wants me to make him pants, and I think, yeah. I've
It's
considered
not just
it.
once. I put money on the table. Okay, Lucia.
You haven't actually. You've promised money. So that's one thing. But-
I like the one with the sharks.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Somebody actually, the person that I made that for, their aunt asked me to commission them, and it didn't work out because they wanted the same fabric. The issue that I ran into with making clothes out of secondhand materials is that it's hard to come across the same fabric twice.
That's why they're worth so much more, because you can't get them again.
That's true.
That wasn't my question.
Okay,
Okay.
let's.
Bros.
Lucia, don't forget your Etsy shop. How exciting that is.
Oh, I do have an Etsy shop. I kind of like shut it down for a while because I was like working on other things. But like I might sell some things that I made. We'll see.
We online here. We got. I got to see your dress in person, and the pictures don't do it justice. It's amazing. My question is, what kind of donations are you looking for? Fabric specifically?
Oh yes. Thank you. I forgot to touch on that. I am mostly looking for like any sort of clothing or just really anything that you find at a thrift shop. I have a lot of like women's clothing in smaller sizes, so I'm definitely looking for larger sizes and more masculine clothing would be like amazing. Yes.
I just want to say, as I like that your the pictures of the few items that we did see felt really like they were kind of like your cartoons turned into fabric in a way. So it was interesting to see you use this as a medium to produce art. I don't know, I felt like that. That's what I got from it. It was like sort of expressive that really fits the art that I've seen you make in other ways too. So I just enjoyed that.
That's really interesting. I didn't notice that until now, but that's cool.
Nice.
I thought that was on purpose.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question here. Did you figure out how to do different stitches? Is it hard to figure out what stitch to use for different fabric?
I didn't do a ton of hand sewing. I did mostly machine sewing, but I taught myself how to do a blanket stitch, and I was like really proud of it. I think I texted Bear, just being like, I taught myself how to do this without even looking up thing, but I got it right by looking at it. Yeah, the issue with hand sewing for me is that I get sloppy. Yeah.